Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. There's a very interesting article coming from Ukrainian sources, and it has to do with Dmitry Medvedev statements on Ukraine's existence. There were some other articles before this where some other Russian politicians, leaders, however you want to call them, stated that Ukraine's territorial integrity will have some chunks violated, not by Russia, but by its neighbors, in particular one neighbor, and the name was provided a while ago, and it was Poland. I do not know if that is obviously accurate or there are plans to do that, but nevertheless, there's always something like this in some countries' minds, because as I mentioned many times before, in Europe there are still territorial disputes between or among countries, especially in the Eastern Europe and the Balkans. And a lot of borders were moved left, right, moved left, and for hundreds of years. And one example that I gave, for instance, was Transylvania, which was a part of, it was an autonomous province, then it was part of Hungary for about some time, and then Austria-Hungary, then Romania, and so it belonged in different hands, had it. The same if you look at East Prussia, that's in North Poland. That was, if you want to go back, you go back and you find that it was totally different other people living over there. Nevertheless, at one point it was Prussia, East Prussia, and then it was provided, it was given after, right after the First World War. It was taken from Germany and given to Poland when Poland was created again as a country. Poland ceased to exist since like 1796 or something like that until the end of the First World War, and then they were given a country. And obviously these kind of situations when territories were taken from Germany created a lot of animosity there and helped and the frustration of the public helped create that guy and his movement, 1930s and 1940s, beginning of them. So this article comes from Ukrainska Pravda from today, June 15th, and this is the title: Ukraine may not exist in 2 years' time, Medvedev. So Ukraine may not even exist in 2 years' time. Does he know something, or is just throwing things in the air? Both could be valid. Maybe he knows something and he just throws it in the air. But let's see. Dmitry Medvedev, the deputy head of Russia's Security Council, has questioned the future of Ukraine, on which Russia is waging war. And I'm quoting. I saw a report that said Ukraine wants to get LNG, liquefied natural gas, from its overseas masters under Lend-Lease with payment for delivery in 2 years. Otherwise, it will just freeze to death this winter. Just a question. Who said that in 2 years Ukraine will even exist on the world map? Question mark. Not that the Americans care. They are so invested in their anti-Russia project that everything else is trivial to them. End quote. So, not that it's just a question who said that in 2 years Ukraine will even exist on the world map. Maybe it's the Russians going to take over, but I tell you this. Let's say Ukrainians, Russians. Look what's happening over there. Ukrainians don't really love Russians. I know that direct experience. People that I really know put it very well. And not only that, you can make an assessment on a nation just because you know, I don't know, 20 people or something. But you can have a direct experience and say, hey, how come all these guys are hating the other guys? And they all tell you about the historical events between the two nations and so on. And say, okay, well, all right. Um, so then you have that, and let's say Russia will, let's say, conquer that, right? Which I don't think is going to happen. I'm 99% certain it will not. And this is the reason why. Conquers Ukraine. The population of Ukraine used to be about what, 40 million, something like that, around that. Now, why would you want, let's say, 30 million of those guys really, 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 really hating you? Because Russia is what, around 145, let's say 150 million. So you take, let's say, 40 million. Let's say you take 30 million that hate you. Maybe not 30 because you have children, 20 million. Take only the adult population, 15, 20 million, just 20 million. Out of what? Out of, and you have the rest is 150 Russians. That's a big percentage. That's a big percentage. What, about 15%? They're gonna hate you, and you will constantly have problems in that province, which you might call Oblast Ukraine or something. So why would you want to have that? Can you imagine how many terrorist attacks or how you want to go freedom fighters will be there with all the weapons currently in Ukraine? Only an idiot would do that, and I don't think Russians are idiots. All right, why it matters. Dmitry Medvedev has thus admitted that Russia's goal is annihilation of Ukraine. Is that what he said? So this is the conclusion of this individual. Her name, I think, is a woman. Yeah, Olena Roshchina. So Roshchina concluded from this guy's philosophical question, rhetorical question, that he actually has thus, therefore, admitted that Russia's goal is the annihilation of Ukraine. She's an idiot. Or she's a crook. Or she's both. I'm sorry. What am I supposed to say after she says that? That she's a smart person? I don't think so. And if she is, she's a crook because knowingly she twists his words. That the case of the war is not the people of the Donbass, not the threat from NATO, and definitely not imaginary biolaboratories and nuclear developments. They were biolabs. Again, she's lying. That's proven already. You don't believe me? Look at, for instance, at Colonel McGregor. All right, I'm hiding behind someone else, so you have a problem with me. Talk with that guy who confirmed that. Or you say, okay, and then he's going to tell you who confirmed with him and so on. And those are not stories, biolabs. Now, they're military biolabs, and there is some American funding in it. Just, I uploaded some video regarding that, and the information is available. Background: Russia waged a hybrid war against Ukraine. I'm not going to go over that. We already know that they already know how the story goes and how it started, allegedly, and when it started. And the Russians are monsters and the Ukrainians are angels. We got that one. And the West are the super angels. So the Kremlin was lying, she continues saying, when it said that it was not planning a war and did not seek regime change in Ukraine. Well, baby doll, if you wanted regime change, he would have out of Kiev and destroy your guy. With some rockets pinpointed, the guy would have been out in the first 20 seconds of this because his location is known. Don't tell me his location is not known. Anyway, but nevertheless, she again comes with extensions, with exaggerations. The Kremlin claimed its objective was the protection of the so-called liberation of Donbass from the legitimate authorities. What were the legitimate authorities doing to those guys in 2014? And the legitimate authorities are the heirs of the ones that overthrew the legitimate government, baby doll. Again, forget about it. And she points these things because she knows that is not so, but she expects us to don't remember. That's why she said from the legitimate authorities. Why would you say that? The liberation, okay, when in fact it wants to take over Ukraine completely. Okay, if you say so, where is the evidence that they do it as they do it? They would just raise everything if they want. As I said, they will not do that. And if they do that, The only reason that I can see that is just to, it's not going to incorporate it in Russia, that's for sure. They would keep it as a buffer zone, but it would be like a camp. And I don't know what's going to happen with that, but definitely, I never heard them saying it's a goal, and she just stretches things. The Russian army's immediate objective, she says, appears to be to gain control over the eastern and southern region of Ukraine, so the occupied Crimea can receive water from the mainland as it has a land route to the Russian Federation, appears. But the reality, they just want to take over Ukraine. All right, Miss Oslana, Olana, or Malana, you are just good. So, nevertheless, Ukraine might not exist, and for the other reason that Olana mentions over there. And so be it. We'll find out. Right? Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.